This is a video on the thesis statements for the movie critique essay. And some general hints include, first, that you should not use first person, we, us, or I in the thesis statement or throughout the essay. You should not use second person, you or you, your in the essay or in your thesis statement. And you should use parallel structure for the messages. The messages should be in phrases or clauses. You might have something like the effect of prejudice as a phrase, or that prejudice caused division within families as a clause, or the impact of infidelity as a phrase, or that marriages often cannot survive infidelity as a clause. But whatever you choose, either use all phrases or all clauses for your messages or your representations of society or social significance that you're seeing. Make sure the number of the nouns and pronouns agree, so that if you're using they, which is what we naturally default to when we use pronouns, that you have people as a referent, or students or viewers. You wouldn't say person then they, or student then they, or viewer then they, right? You need to have plural nouns to go with plural pronouns. So the basic formats for the thesis statements are, as we talked about in the other video, the movie contains three messages, blank, blank, and blank. What are your three messages, and how are you going to go about that? Or there's one primary message that's developed through the perspectives of three different characters, blank, blank, and blank. Or there's a primary message that's broad, that's broken down into three components. And for those different points, when you have the three blanks, okay, those are your body paragraph topics, and each blank that's in a series needs to be in parallel structure, either as a phrase, a clause, or with the perspectives as an individual character's name. Or if you have representation of society, you can say it has an accurate representation of society because of the three reasons, or an inaccurate representation of society. Or you might choose to have it has some accurate and some inaccurate representations of society. So a possible good thesis statement for freedom writers would include: this movie, based on a true story, contains an accurate representation of society because it shows modern cultural conflicts, portrays how one person can make a difference for others, and demonstrates that people are often blinded, failing to realize that they have many things in common with one another. And so we have here, they're all within the larger because clause with the verb structure there. Okay. Another good thesis statement, this one's on the blind side. The blind side demonstrates the importance of helping others through the perspectives of the following characters, and then it lists the characters that the essay will discuss their perspectives of. And then one on Rocky. The movie contains three messages, and then it has the three messages. And the first two have people should, okay, instead of you should, or one, or one should. And the main reason you should not use you, okay, we don't want to use second person, it's too informal. And you don't want to use one, because see how both of those people clauses have them and or themselves in them. And so that would not agree in number. And then the third one has an introductory prepositional phrase, but it still has a clause, amazing feats can be achieved, as the overall message. And then a good thesis statement for blow. This movie contains three messages, and each of those is set up as a clause. Selling drugs leads, cocaine use leads, drug involvement ruins. So we have a noun and a verb, noun and a verb, noun and a verb, predicate for each one of those. And then another good thesis statement for a V for vendetta. Throughout this movie, three prominent messages flaunt themselves. Now, flaunt, I wouldn't use the word flaunt. Emerge or something like that would be better. And a once troubled past may be used as a motivation for change. Through the assistance of others, institutionalized misgovernment may be overcome, and a government should remain fearful of its people. And notice here, because the second message has a comma within it, there are semicolons separating the different messages. And then here we have three thesis statements for Coach Carter, and I want you to look through these and see if you can figure out which one is the strongest one, which one is in between, and which one needs to be revised. Only one of them really needs to be revised. So I'm going to pause it for just a few seconds and let you look at these thesis statements. Okay, so if you look at this, the first one, has the context of it's a real story, and it uses the importance of education, discipline in individuals, and teamwork. So 3 items to show how success can be reached by understanding 3 things. So it actually has a pretty complex thesis. The importance of something and a message, and how that message can be achieved, or how success can be achieved. So it's a good thesis statement, pretty complex thesis statement that could work very well. Then a more simplistic, but good thesis statement, simpler structure, but good thesis statement in the next one, which has the 3 messages, and it has the noun clauses. People need, friendship is, nothing is. Okay, so 3 noun clauses. But then the last one is not parallel. Okay, it has accurate representation of society because of dedication, struggle, suspense, and then so 3 nouns, and then a verbal phrase. So that needs to be revised. So let's look at how that could be revised. So that's the original statement. And first of all, it needs parallel structure. So what I would do to revise it is to actually make it into 2 sentences. The movie contains an accurate representation of society because it reveals the dedication needed, the struggle involved, and the suspense inherent in pursuing athletic goals. The movie is socially significant because it reveals that there is more to life than basketball. So it blends the concepts of accurate representation and social significance with the different messages involved. And notice here, we've got dedication needed, struggle involved, and suspense inherent in, and these are verbs being used as adjectives. So even though this is not a verbal, I think it still works as parallel structure because we have noun adjective concepts. And then here we have 2 thesis statements on the help needing revision. And if we look at them, the first one, uses second person, so it needs to be revised. And the second one doesn't have parallel structure. So, let me go back. So, with the first one, I would say that take out the you. So the harm of racism, prejudice, and social pressure are messages addressed in this movie, as is the importance of standing up for what people believe in. Okay, and I probably would put the Help is a powerful movie with much to say first, and then the second one, people do what they believe is right even when society doesn't agree. And then see how the first one is a clause, the second one is not, and the third one is. So people do what they believe is right even when society doesn't agree. Take out the doesn't, so does not. People come together. When people come together for a cause, change can occur, and not all stereotypes are true. Would make that one correct. Then a thesis statement needing revising on Gladiator. Throughout the film, it contains 3 messages, and you can see that those are not in parallel structure. So it could be revised, and also use a second person. So it could be revised as the Gladiator contains 3 messages. People should remain loyal to their families and their countries. People earn respect by being leaders, not dictators, and people should remain honorable and humble throughout life. And important to, I think, not to use one. And also remain loyal to your family is an imperative, and you want to avoid using imperatives, which are commands to a person to do something. And then another thesis statement needing revision is one on blow. Blow has many significant underlying messages, and then it lists some different points in terms using a range, and then it uses second person and first person. So ineffective use of range from, and uses first person we and second person you. So a way to revise it would be Blow uses reality checks, moral issues, and historical and political situations to convey many significant messages. Through the tragedy of George Young's life, okay, viewers realize the value of living an honest life and the value of working to achieve goals and material wealth. So that's a pretty significant revision, but it's keeping the basic concepts of, reality checks, moral issues, and historical, and I would say not connotations, but situations, and then his life and the importance of honest living and working for your own gain. So the basic summary points of writing your thesis statement would be: don't use first person, we, us, I. Don't use second person, you or your, and that's throughout the essays. Okay, don't use those usage. Use parallel structure for your messages, your representation issues, your social significant issues, and make sure to use the same number for nouns and pronouns throughout your thesis statement and within your papers as well. It's just easier to always use plural because we default to using they. So if we use plural, we know that they will always agree. And if you have any questions, let me know.